Level 1, the patrol officer. Most cops never make SWAT, not because they're not tough enough, because most never even get the chance to try. Right now, you're years away from that. You're on patrol. Traffic stops, domestic calls, long shifts that end in paperwork, not glory. Nobody's asking if you can breach a door. They're asking why your report is late. This is where every SWAT career actually starts. Not in a gym. Not in a gunfight. In a patrol car at 2 in the morning. You log the hours. You learn the streets. You watch senior officers handle chaos calmly. You start to notice what calm actually looks like. Years pass before SWAT is even an option. Some officers wait 5 years. Some wait 10. You keep your file clean. You keep training. You tell almost no one you're aiming for this because almost everyone who says it out loud quits first. You don't quit, you just keep showing up. The years on patrol accumulate into something you don't fully notice happening in real time. A specific competence built from thousands of ordinary calls, domestic disputes, traffic stops, the occasional foot pursuit, none of it glamorous, all of it quietly building the exact judgment SWAT selection will eventually test. You watch how veteran officers de-escalate situations that could have gone violently wrong, and you absorb something in that watching that no academy class ever fully taught you. The specific difference between knowing the correct procedure and actually executing it calmly when adrenaline is flooding your system in real time. There's a call that goes bad, a domestic disturbance that turns into a foot chase through backyards at night, and the specific composure required to stay controlled while your body wants to do anything, but teaches you something about your own capacity that a training exercise never could. You start applying for SWAT tryouts once you hit the department's minimum eligibility, and the specific humility required to accept that years of solid patrol work only earns you the right to be tested, not any guarantee of passing, sets the tone for everything that follows. Level 2. The candidate. The tryout itself is designed to break you in ways patrol never did. A specific combination of physical exhaustion and tactical decision-making under pressure that filters out officers who are strong but not adaptable, or adaptable but not strong enough to sustain it. You run obstacle courses in full gear until your legs stop responding the way you want them to, and the specific moment your body starts failing before your mind does becomes the actual test, whether you push through that gap or fold into it. There's a live fire scenario during selection, where your hands shake slightly from exhaustion, and the specific discipline required to control your breathing and execute correctly anyway, rather than letting the shake become an excuse, teaches you something about performance under fatigue that no amount of range time at your normal qualification could have. The instructors don't offer encouragement, and the specific absence of positive feedback is itself part of the test. Whether you can keep performing at a high level without anyone telling you that you're doing well. Weeks pass before you learn whether you made the team, and the specific uncertainty of that waiting period, unable to fully celebrate or fully grieve, becomes its own quiet endurance test layered on top of the physical one you already survived. Level 3. The team member. You arrive on the team and understand immediately that making it through tryouts only proved you belonged in the building. Not that you know anything yet about how this team actually operates. The tactical skill set here is entirely different from anything patrol work built, room clearing, dynamic entry, coordinated movement with 3 or 4 other operators who need to trust your positioning without having time to verbally confirm it during an actual operation. You train relentlessly in scenarios that repeat until your body executes them without conscious thought, because the entire logic of this rank is building muscle memory precise enough to function correctly when a real call-out gives you seconds, not minutes, to make decisions that matter. There's a training exercise where you clear a room slightly out of sync with your team, a timing error that would have been dangerous in a live operation, and the correction you receive from senior operators is immediate and blunt, because the actual stakes here mean gentle feedback is a luxury nobody can afford. You absorb this without defensiveness, understanding that the bluntness itself is a form of respect, an assumption you're capable of hearing it and adjusting quickly. Trust builds through repetition rather than any single dramatic proof, and you notice gradually that senior operators are including you in briefings and decisions that happened entirely without you a few months earlier. Level 4, the operator. Your first real call-out carries a weight training never fully replicates, because training has a ceiling on consequence that an actual barricaded suspect or active shooter situation simply doesn't have. You move through a structure with your team, real weapons, real uncertainty about what's behind the next door, and the specific quality of your training either holds under that pressure or reveals a gap nobody caught in the range. There's an operation that develops complications nobody fully anticipated, and the specific composure required to adjust in real time. Trusting your team to move with you without a verbal briefing to coordinate it reveals exactly how much the trust built in training is actually load-bearing now. The call-out resolves, not perfectly but safely, and the debrief afterward is exacting in a way that has nothing to do with blame and everything to do with extracting every lesson available, because the margin between a clean resolution and a tragedy was often thinner than anyone realized in the moment. You start carrying a weight between call-outs that doesn't fully leave, and you notice, watching operators who've done this for years, that the ones who last are rarely the ones who feel nothing about it. They're the ones who've built sustainable ways of carrying what the job generates. Level 5, the element leader. Tactical authority over a small element during an operation changes your relationship to every call-out entirely, because you're no longer just executing your own piece of the plan, you're responsible for the real-time decisions that determine how your entire team moves through an unfolding, unpredictable situation. You develop a specific situational awareness that operates almost below conscious thought, reading a developing scene and adjusting your team's posture in fractional seconds, a skill built entirely from the accumulated weight of operations where hesitation carries a cost no training scenario can fully simulate. You start mentoring newer operators directly, watching them carry the same uncertainty you once carried, and the patience required to develop their judgment, rather than simply asserting your own experience becomes its own discipline. One senior operator's once extended to you without your fully appreciating it at the time. There's a call where your read on a situation diverges from the initial plan, and the decision you make under real pressure, correct only in hindsight, teaches you something about the actual weight of this position that no amount of prior experience fully prepared you for. Level 6, the team commander. Running the entire SWAT unit moves you substantially away from direct tactical execution and into a position-shaping training standards, call-out authority, and the actual pipeline that determines who joins this team for years after your own tenure ends. You develop a specific eye for evaluating candidates during selection, drawing on your own memory of standing exactly where they are now, a judgment built from an entire career of accumulated pattern recognition. There's a decision about deploying the team for a specific call-out that carries real legal and departmental risk if it goes wrong, and the weight of authorizing that deployment, knowing you'll answer for the outcome, regardless of how sound the reasoning was, teaches you something about the isolation of this rank that tactical leadership alone never demanded. You sit in meetings now with department leadership whose priorities don't always align cleanly with operational reality, and you develop a specific advocacy capacity. Translating tactical necessity into language administration can actually act on. Level 7, the tactical chief. Overseeing SWAT policy across an entire department or region carries a weight unlike anything the earlier ranks demanded, because your decisions now shape training standards and deployment policy for teams you'll never personally lead into a building. You shape the actual doctrine that determines how tactical operations are conducted for a generation of officers who will never know your name. Standards built from decades of accumulated judgment, now encoded into policy rather than any single operation you personally executed. There's an institutional decision, A policy question with real consequences for officer safety and public trust simultaneously, and the specific weight of making that call, knowing it will be scrutinized regardless of outcome, teaches you something about this rank's actual isolation that no amount of prior command experience fully prepared you for. Somewhere on patrol tonight, an officer is finishing a shift, filing a report, telling almost nobody that SWAT is the goal, absorbing a version of the same quiet ambition you once carried, not knowing your name, never likely to know it, but shaped nonetheless by standards you spent the final years of your career quietly building. So here is the question underneath everything this video just walked you through. Which rank are you standing in right now? Because the chief shaping this entire unit's future today did not start there. He started on patrol at 2 in the morning, filing a report nobody would remember, and he closed that distance one shift, one call out, one earned rank at a time.